Oh my goodness, welcome back. It's time for another locals vlog, and I took Lunalight. I'd been hesitant to take Lunalight because I haven't had a lot of practice on it, and I didn't want to take forever on my turns because it's definitely one of those combo decks that, like, if you know the line, it still takes a long time. If you don't know the line, it can take even longer. But it's back to school season and I haven't had time to practice it. And I also want to play. I was like, so my goal going into this locals was one liger. The combo, as long as I can end on one liger, I would be happy. So that was my goal going into this locals. So let's rewatch the games. It normally takes me about like a week after filming to sit down and do these like game review, local vlog review, whatever. So I don't remember what happened. I have a little memory of some things that happened, but some other things I don't remember. So it's like, let's watch it together, shall we? Let's watch how I did with Lunalight at locals. Hi, it's me on a different day, editing this video, and I went back and forth if I was going to show game one from this locals because it was a newer player, and I didn't like explicitly ask them if they were okay being filmed. And there's just some stuff that we're gonna jump in on game two. I'm just gonna give you a little synopsis. Game one was a double loss. We went to time. We finished game one. It took about 35-ish minutes for game one. Started game two. I won game two, and then basically we did not have time for game three. And you know me, I'm a rule follower, so I double lost. So I'm just gonna go ahead and stick you in right at game two. And yeah, just wanted to let you know why it might feel like the video is starting at a weird, because it kind of is. We're gonna start at game two. First, well, we're gonna start with me getting to the locals and then go to I'm gonna leave you to it now. Okay, bye. Locals. I have a latte with me because I'm big sleepy. Gonna try Lunalight, which is probably not the best deck to try when sleepy, but yeah, probably can go to time a lot because it's a lot for a combo, and I don't really have it memorized yet. But let's see how it goes. We were doing anime battle arc V. It was Lunalight v what were they playing? The toys. It's not Snake Eyes. It's not Odd Eyes. What's the toy one from the Arc V deck? They need a Speedroid. They're playing Speedroid. I want the dice roll. I go first. I'm a silver hound. See, I'm gonna commentate what I'm doing now because I was like, I got my little TED Talk out of the way. But I still always have TED Talk things to say. Like, for example, how proud I was that Nebs picked up Speedroid, and at the end of it, we looked because the deck they give you is missing a really important card. There's some like Colonel Clack or something that is played in Speedroids that is missing from the pre-con deck. And so at the end of this, it was really nice because then we looked at some deck lists and we were like, okay, what are you missing? And I was like, yeah, I'm not playing pure Lunalight straight from the box because it is missing too much stuff. So, but this was a really fun game because both of us were like, yeah, we're learning and we're both playing Arc V decks, and to be able to have the conversation about like what you need to add. I do wish Konami would just do the work. I was like, how did Konami not give you this card if this is something that is very like, I don't know, if this is something that we know, needs to be done. And every deck list you look up for Speedroid has this like Colonel Cluck. Like, why is he not? Where is he in the deck list? So that was funny because I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. This just seems like, unfortunate that they didn't give it to you. But I made my liger dancer. I brought back the tiger because I was like, well, if he's destroyed by battle, I get a trigger. Have anyone of you read that little saucy effect? Have you read that little saucy effect of Tiger? Did you know that Lunalight Tiger says if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect? So it got fallen in the Virtuist once in a practice game, and it triggered. So even if it's in the pendulum zone, even if Tiger's in the pendulum zone, that triggers because it doesn't say if this monster, it just says if this card. I can't tell you what Nebs is doing. But they're doing speedroid stuff. They're doing speedroid stuff. I don't know what speedroids do, but they're synchroing. They're linking. Apparently, that's the only link, because then we had the conversation of like, what do you do with the link afterwards? If anyone has speedroid tips or deck lists or yeah, share them. I'll pass them along. We are trying to build Nebs. Well, Nebs himself is trying to build, and then we are bringing cards to help with the process of. I got to pick one. I was just like, the ugly one's going to grave. Rolad. I know. It's time to go to the dark side. We were like, it was so funny because I was like, hey, honestly, learning Yu-Gi-Oh, the best tip I have is go ahead and just pick a deck that has a big unaffected thing. I started on Pearly, and it's like the goal was like, just make the big cat. And it worked. I at least felt somewhat successful when I made the big cat. Lunalight, it's like, just make a liger dancer. I'm just making one liger dancer, and I'm like, wow. People really be trying to imperm. People really be trying to do all this stuff for my liger dancer. She's unaffected. And while Rolad doesn't, I don't know if people, it's not a tower. I don't know if people consider it. It is unaffected. Yeah, like both the rituals are unaffected unless you target them. And so much stuff does not target. And then with Mind Shuffle, to be able to like get it away, you know what I mean? Like I try to fall in the Virtuous, your Black Chaos, and then you Mind Shuffle it. And like, yeah, I was like, Rollout I think would be great because it gives you something that you figure out how to make the board, and the board just naturally by itself is strong, is what I think I think this is why Cool Tune, I think the types of decks that become very popular are those decks that without needing a lot of practice and experience on the deck, you can get to an end board that is very hard for your opponent to break, or you can get to interaction pieces that are very difficult for your opponent to get over. Because like, yeah, with Cool Tune, making the board, if you go on interrupted, I don't think takes that much. Like, and then you have so much interaction to do on your opponent's turn. And interruptions just in general, I think are really hard for any player to play through, but especially if you're playing against players who are not super comfortable with their deck. And a lot of us, I don't know, like me personally, trying to get super comfortable with the deck takes a lot of time, depending on how much time I have to practice it. And, when I have a yob, that makes it harder. I'd be working. So, and especially with back to school season, I just don't have the time to dedicate to know exactly how I'm going to play through interruptions. So yeah, see, Tiger got popped, and we're going to bring out Scarlet Tiger. I am in the process of rarity upgrading Lunalight because why wouldn't I be? I love shiny things, and now everything has a beautiful new Starlight. This was funny because when I did the Liger Dancer and cleared his board and then went for game because Liger Dancer can attack twice, Nebs kind of laughed and was like, see, that's what I'm saying. He was kind of like, thanks for letting me play. Because I think he realized that I could have done that a lot sooner. And I could have just made it to where they didn't get to feel like they played the game and got to practice at all. And I don't like doing that. I don't like doing that. I'm like, let people play the game. Let people have fun. And that's what I said. I was like, no. I was like, I want both of us, especially going into match 2 after double lossing on match 1. One of my goals that I set on my birthday, and I think that's also why I felt some frustration with match 1, was because one of my goals I set on my birthday was like that I wanted to try to win a locals. And I ended up doing pretty well for the rest of the locals, but that match 1 double loss was just gonna not, So having the first match be a double loss, I kind of knew that I was like, I'm not going to be able to top this locals with a double loss. And that felt a little frustrating because it is a goal that I have. It's a goal that I want to achieve, but there's things I could have done to make that goal better for myself. I had agency in it, and you live and you learn. But that also made kind of the rest of the matches feel a little more lighthearted because it was like, we're just vibing, man. We're just out here vibing. We're speed roiding, we're lunalighting, we're having fun. But yeah, the goal, I don't know when we're gonna get Nebs on Rolad. But I was super proud of them to see them try like a different deck too already. Because they came in with Black Wings, and now to be like, yeah, I'm gonna do Speedroid Yeah, ugly one always goes to grave. I was super proud. It's been really cool. I'm very proud of them for sticking with it and keep coming to locals, and learning this game is hard. It's really hard, but it's really cool. Really, really awesome when the community gets to grow and when you have people that want to learn. And yeah, we had the conversation at the end when we were looking at deck lists of like, I don't know what Speedroids is supposed to end on. I looked up a deck list and realized Crystal Wing's involved, and I was like, yeah, like just make Crystal Wing. Like that's gonna be a great just like thing to have. Like I can't even attack into it with my Liger Dancer because Liger Dancer is like 35 stars big. She's 17 apples tall. But yeah, it was kind of, and that's why I was giving tips because they were just trying to learn Speedroids, and I was like, honestly, what I do, me personally, is I just look at the end board and I work backwards and figure out what I'm trying to make. Because normally, well, not even normally, the end board is the thing that you end up being like, I couldn't Lunalight Fusion. I was like, wait, I'm such a liar. Gold Leo. And so the end board is something that like it has the negates. It's like the strongest. Like how do you go and interrupt it? And so figuring out how you're supposed to get there. I also showed them the website that if you saw my like learning Lunalight, the like Yu-Gi-Oh combos website thing that I was using, because we had the conversation where we're like, yeah, you look up on YouTube how to learn a deck and it's all these like super fast-paced videos that I'm like, I don't know what they're doing. And they're similar to me. And like, yeah, I just want to be able to read through. Go spell. Yes, I know that. Okay, before anyone comments and is like, actually, that's not legally allowed to be played because it's an OCG or it's a language. But I don't know. I've seen Nebs has played cards before that are not in English, and someone's decided to comment. It's a game. It's a fun local. Don't be mean to my friends. They can play the cards they want. It's not a big deal. We all know what Ghost Spell does. And even when they play a card that we don't know what it does, it's fine. Foreign language cards, OCG cards coming to the locals around here is not a huge deal because access people, we want people to be able to play the game with the cards that they have. And yes, they could ask, and I'm sure a bunch of us have a bunch of different Ghost Spells, but leave them alone. People love to be commenting and being like, that's not, yeah, whatever. I knew what Ghost Spell did, and I think the card looks cool. Don't be commenting about how they can play it if they want. I said so. But yeah, turn passes back to me, and I know what I gotta do as the Lunalight player. You know what I mean? I'm trying to clear the board and go for game. Why didn't I clear the board? I might have been like, yeah, you know what? Keep playing. Let's see what we can do. Show me what you got. But yeah, we had the conversation about how, sometimes it's easier to just find like an Excel spreadsheet. And I was like, there are creators who make Excel spreadsheets, but they charge money and I'm not spending money. And Nebs was like, I'm not spending money. And I was like, yeah. And I get why they charge money because it takes a lot of time. Like if I was going to write out an Excel spreadsheet for Lunalight for free, it would just be, I could understand why people are like, yeah, I want money to be able to play this, to make this and then give it to you. But alas, but that Yu-Gi-Oh combo website, really nice because it kind of has that Excel style. There I am. I'm beeping, I'm bopping, doing my little arm motions. Watching back, like just mannerisms is always super funny too. Gonna get some Speedroids. We're gonna make the trap into a thing. The trap be trapping. We'd be banishing. I don't know why. And I was like, well, the Liger Dancer can't be affected, so go ahead and give me back my Kaleido chick. I think that was my happy dance of like, no one can affect the Liger Dancer. She's not affected. I love this deck so much. I really do like it. I love decks that like I'm starting to see there's so many different lines. There's so many different things you can do. And I love that's what keeps me interested in a deck for a really long time is when it's like, how can I figure out how to play around stuff? How can I? And I think all decks do have that, but I like a very high ceiling. I love me a combo deck. When I saw Lunalight and I was seeing Ruggles like talk about the combo that they would do, and I saw how, and I was like, oh, this is a combo deck with a capital C. And I love me a combo deck with a capital C. Let's see. Cute, ugly. I called it the pickles. Don't those look like pickles? I don't know what those are supposed to be. The card in the graveyard? Looks like pickles. And I love pickles, but I don't think pickles are cute. I mean, they can be depending on how you draw them. But like, I don't think like innately. Yeah. Do a little dance. Get a little speedroid. Up, synchro. I think also speedroid, the rank level, it like can change the level of some of the stuff that you're playing. Oh, I remember what was happening at this point because I can tell I'm like looking over. So there's always a Lance story. There is forever and always a Lance story of Lance showing up and having a deck that is like not fully ready. On today's episode of Lance showed up and was like, "Hey y'all, I need cards." He showed up and was like, "Hey y'all, I need cards. I need like 5 cards for my deck." And so I didn't have any like extras, but I did have my Elf Note deck with me, and I was like, "Yeah, I can just let you borrow some like random stuff from the side." So I let him borrow some Pot of Sloths. Lance played a Pot of Sloth, I think, almost every game, like every match. And at one point, because he's playing against Raina's boyfriend at this point, and he was like, "Who gave you those?" At one point, Leo walked by and was like, "Lance, did you buy Pot of Sloths?" Like everyone was like, "Where did you get these Pot of Sloths from? Like you're showing up and your deck isn't ever fully like ready, and now all of a sudden you got Pot of Sloths." And I was like, "Oh, I let him borrow them." But the thing is like I have put Pot of Sloths in my deck and I never see them, so it was just crazy to me how often those Pot of Sloths, I think wanted to go home with Lance. Speaking of Lance, so match 3 against Lance. And I was about to say my borrowed Perulias. I don't know if he borrowed my Perulias, but he borrowed my Fuas, and so there's my Fua. It was kind of one of those things of like, can I play around it where I make a single Liger Dancer, you just get 1 draw. And there is a world in which I've learned I can make a Liger Dancer without having to go the Perfume Dancer route. In a way, getting Fuad was a good test of my like, okay, do I know? Oh my gosh, sorry, I'm watching this back. I wasted so much time. on this stupid Fractal because you know what you send off Fractal? Silverhound. You know what I have in hand? Silverhound. So here, let me like give you a repeat of what I'm doing. I'm looking through my deck. I'm going, what's the point of this card? What's the point of this card? Have I been playing it wrong? It says it has to be a level 3 or lower. It says level 3. This is a stupid card. Why are people playing 3 of this card? This card is so stupid. I immediately was like, this is stupid. This is stupid. What, like, and so then I'm pulling out all the possible choices that I could send. I'm like, this is dumb. This is dumb. None of these do anything. Girl, it's because you have Silverhound in your hand. It's Silverhound. Look, I'm going to snap. Oh, stupid. I have Silverhound in hand. Ay. Tenki gets ashed. Yeah, Tenki gets ashed. Masquerade to send. I'd probably send a Yellow Martine if I had to guess. Yep. Yellow Martine is going to let me add. I'm going to add Lunalight Fusion because, like I said, I'm trying to play around the Perulia. And I should be able to get enough, right? Because Yellow Martine, I can go ahead and add back the Masquerade, getting her summoned out. I'm looking. I'm like, do I have enough? I have to figure out how to get, I think, 1. Actually, I don't have to do 1 more because Lunalight Fusion, because he activated. Oh, no, I'm just going to do Perfume. Oh, why didn't he draw? Oh, no, there we go. And then I think this lets me get into, I'm trying to remember. I think some of these have if they're used as fusion. Well, basically, okay, and then I summon from deck. So apparently I really didn't play around the Fua that much looking at this back. Lance, I think, is playing Invoked. Okay, Gold Leo gets impermed. I mean, I played through 3 hand traps. Oh, did I play through the Fua? Not particularly. I just need to make a liger, and I'm pretty sure I do it. I'm pretty sure I figure out how to make a liger. I think. Maybe I don't. I normal the Fua. Oh, he passed. Oh, okay. I remember. I'm like, why am I attacking? He drew terribly. He drew terribly and passed. So I normaled the Fua and I use that to make Baguska. The terribly tired Tapir. Tell me that's smart. I think that's smart. I think that was big brain play. Okay, so yeah, sorry, I'm having, like I said, I haven't lived this. I haven't watched this since I lived this. He had like nothing in order to play. He basically just like bricked. So then he's gonna go ahead and he passed. And if I had just gone into a liger dancer, which he stopped me from doing, then I could have gone for game. But alas. So now he's going to have to figure out how to get over the terribly tired Tapir, which he does with droplets. So as I'll say, Babushka, I feel like, yeah, it is a difficult thing to get over and it does require some intervention. But specifically, if decks are playing board breaker style things, it's not that bad. That's where Liger Dancer is MVP, truly unaffected. Great. Love it. Hasn't been banned. Hasn't even been limited. I am curious whenever we get our ban list, Konami. Everyone's saying end of this month, end of August is if you're watching this in the future or in the past. If you time traveled, you can watch it in the past. I wouldn't have uploaded it. The future. You can either be in the future or more in the future. Anywho, whenever we get our ban list, I'm curious if Lunalight is going to see more play. I think Lunalight's always been around. I don't know if I said this in my Pearly video where I was talking about like in terms of like rogue decks and then like super rogue decks and just like the levels at which there are meta and off meta. I feel like whenever I watch creators be like, okay, for this season, I'm going to rank the decks that I think are going to like do really well and everyone's going to play and are going to win stuff. And then the decks that are like garbage and need to like just, go away. And then like the C tier, the B tier, you know what I'm talking about? Lunalight, I think, has at least always been on the list. Has it been at the top of the list? No, but it's at least always made like the consideration of like this is something that is being played. Pearly doesn't make those lists. Pearly's not there. So it is always interesting about trying to figure out like, are these decks that are still viable, like Lunalight's viable? Is there anything a ban list could do that would make it more viable? Or not that it matters. I really like it. I'm still planning on playing it. So all my stuff gets taken, and then my ligers get banished. I'm pretty sure the writing was on the wall at this point, if I remember. I think I'm like, okay. I don't know with what strength I would have, with what possible thing I could possibly get that would make any type of difference. Invoked is scary, y'all. Invoked is the reason that I sided in the Lancias for the regional, and I didn't even play against Invoked. But like this experience, look at my Potislath. Look at my Potislath. Yeah, Invoked is just scary. Invoked also has built-in shifter / like die-fi. It just has a built-in like any card sent to the graveyard is banished. And for Lunalight, that is awful. I think maybe I'm trying to think. I mean, Elf Note also dies. Elf Note is also if this stuff is sent to graveyard. But I'm trying to think about like meta decks and why they stay meta or why they're like higher on the rankings. And I feel like decks, yeah, like Floodgates be floodgating, but I'm also wondering if there's I'm like, let's go next. I drew another Tenki. I'm like, I can't get through that. I do wonder if part of why some decks see so much play and are more meta viable than others is the not being completely shut down by floodgates, like having multiple engines or having different parts of stuff that's not going to be as impacted, because like Lunalight, Di-Fi, any type of if it's turning off the graveyard is going to just be like miserable for it. That does it to Elf Note too. Elf Note can play pretty well under Droll. I mean, I got drolled at one game this locals. I think Lance was like, "Pop off, queen, pop off. I don't got nothing." So we're gonna do the wombo combo, make a liger dancer and pass. Yeah, I don't know what shuts off cool tunes. Rolad dies to Droll, and I think any version of Rolad, like Mitsu, I think any ritual deck just relies on searching so much. But that's why I think it's interesting, because like, yes, Droll can be a pain, but with the resurgence, maybe not, resurgence might not be the right word, but you know how everyone's playing like pile ritual stuff? The limiting of Droll was such an interesting choice by Konami, because you have created a less likely chance for decks like Rolad to actually get like fully floodgated and stopped by like a Droll, because now we're only at 2 instead of at 3. And yes, a lot of decks do search, and I think looking forward at the gambling, the Rising Moon or whatever it's called deck that is all drawing, like that one's going to die to Droll. But yeah, I think Lunalight, from playing it for, in my expert opinion, after playing it for like 2 weeks, I can see how it can play through a lot of interactions, but there's certain interactions that do just like shut it down. Like if this gets drolled and you don't already have some type of extender or something to, you know, some way of keeping going already in your hand, any type of turning off graveyard is just going to absolutely ruin it. We're going to Kaleido Chicks. And okay, so I'm going to end on a much better board in terms of now it is Baguska and Liger Dancer, which I should have her in attack. She's so chunky. Like, there's literally no reason to not have her in attack. I'm reading through my cards to see what triggers off the poly. I think the Scarlet Tiger triggers. Maybe not. Okay, I pass. Oh, it has to be in defense because of Baguska. Never mind. I caught myself. Pot of Sloth. So, like I said, my game plan for most games that I was playing, especially this locals, and I think kind of still, yeah. If it's like, when do you Liger Dancer? I think doing it in battle phase, because there's very little, I'm going to negate that. There's very little that people can do in battle phase. So, let's see if I remember off the top of my head. I made a whole video about this. I made a whole learn how to play Yu-Gi-Oh video about this. But basically, during battle and damage, there's less things you can do. And so during battle phase, you can only activate things that are going to change the number of targets on the field and modify attack or defense. I think that's it. So you're not able to chain certain things. So that's why, in my opinion, doing Liger Dancer at the start of battle versus at the end of main, because Liger is a quick effect that can happen whenever. I think except during the damage step. I'd have to read her. I don't know if she's an except during the damage step one. I feel like a lot of quick effects that let you do it during the battle phase. Am I right on this? Right. I think during battle phase you can do, because Liger Dancer is going to change the amount of targets. Tell me if I'm wrong. But I know battle phase has different requirements, not requirements, like stipulations for what you can and can't do. Okay, so there's the pseudo Di-Fi. The shifter is the Oceanus. If it's in the extra monster zone, any monster sent to your opponent's graveyard is banished instead. But yeah, that tends to be my goal, is just during the battle phase to Liger Dancer, because there's less that my opponent can do in response to it. So I will be able to clear the Oceanus. It's not going to be that big of a deal if you already have Liger Dancer out, but if I clear it too soon, there's always kind of that like, ugh, what if they make another one? And yes, you can do Liger Dancer once per turn and as many Lunalight fusions as you have in your extra deck, which there's a lot, but you know, I feel like you want to be mindful of when you're doing it so you're not just completely like wasting sending one, because especially if you're trying to end on multiple liger dancers. Okay, that's my thing, like my question of Lunalight. You end on 3 ligers. Are you using 3 Leo dancers? Because now you're like limiting how many times you can wipe the board. And I feel like there's just, oh yeah, see, now I'm going to go ahead and, during battle phase, on attack declaration even, go ahead and wipe the board. Why didn't I? Is something protecting it? Maybe I just didn't do it. I thought I was wiping the board, but my Baguska's gone. But yes, I'm curious if you make 3 liger dancers, are you going through 3 Leo dancers, and then are you having enough material to clear the board as needed? Okay, we're going to make Scarlet. We're going to then special Scarlet. And then I don't think I can go into another liger. So we'll just, why couldn't I clear them? Is there some type of protection on them? Or did I just not do it? I'm very curious why the Oceanus was still there when I could have tried to clear them with the liger. Either I just didn't do it, or they have some type of protection. I don't know. See, here I am not fully seeing the line. Oh, SB. And then pass. I do feel like Lunalight, another Pot of Sloth. See what I'm saying? The luck. I never draw Pot of Sloth the amount that lands through Pot of Sloth. I feel like the games have been very back and forth, and maybe that's just me not going for game, right? Maybe that's why you're like, you make 3 liger dancers because then you just attack for 7 bajillion damage. I think my mindset around it might just be that of like, I have been kind of doing back and forth games with Lunalight. I don't know if that's what it's supposed to do. And so maybe that's why you make 3 ligers, because it doesn't matter. You go for game. You got 3 big beef sticks. Alistair the Invoker. Let's see. I'm pretty sure we go to game 3. Well, we have to, because Lance got game 1, and I know how the match ends. So we got to go. We got to go to game 3. I'm just curious for game 2, what do we do? How does one get over a liger dancer? Honestly, you just have to beat over it, but the issue is that, because I remember we had the conversation, that's why I'm curious why the Oceanuses are there. Well, he's out of Oceanuses now, so that should be fine, but I can just clear by sending. Oh, he was asking for some type of like, if I do this, but the answer was basically like, I can't tell you because that's going to impact your decisions, but I think it was something that like wouldn't have mattered because liger dancer's unaffected. We get the red lion. See, I just don't know if invoked. I think invoked if you go first, not even think. I know invoked if you go first and you set up the turn off your opponent's graveyard, everything gets banished instead, you're going to win. Well, you're not going to win. It's not an automatic win, but you have a higher chance of winning. So I'm saying that because it's like you can make an inference about what's going to happen in game 3. You have a higher chance of winning because you're going to be able to turn off your Lunalight opponent's ability to do a lot of stuff. We really need the graveyard. But I'm not sure what the out is once there's a liger dancer on the field. If you play invoked and you're like, let me know, how would you out a liger dancer? So liger dancer, I'm going to go ahead and send the perfume dancer to clear. I don't think magical meltdown's protecting it. Because Hyper Invoke Dion is very big, but I can clear it with the liger. Yep. And then this should be game because it'll attack twice and already attacked and did damage into both of the Oceanuses, the other battle phase. Main 2. Gosh, Invocation is crazy. Invoked is just a scary deck. I think he's looking to be like, how do I even get over this? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? We got 7 minutes left on round. Well, technically 14. So match 1, I had at 2.5 speed, and then match 2 and 3 I've had at 2 times speed. Because if you stick around for this full over an hour video, you're a real one. You're a real. I try to keep it. I've thought about like miking myself up and like uploading just like the actual footage, but I'm like, would any of you want to watch like the 3-hour local, like the actual? I'd cut out like the in-betweens. That way you don't just see me like messing around with people. Perfume Dancer banished to make monsters lose attack to their defense. So the Vikram becomes 0. So basically you are taking 38 times 2, which will be game. That'll be game. Yeah, let me know if it would be something that, it saved me editing time. But also I'm like, I feel like I like talking over my games and telling you what happened. And then I think also just in order for people to see all the games in a timely manner. But if any of you want like the full locals, and I could mic myself up and we could see about making it happen. So we're going into game 3. I think we were not particularly low on time, but definitely like, okay, so this was me explaining that like here's some hyper invoked Aeon targets, right? Like here's kind of what I can't make Liger Dancer if you get rid of the Leo Dancer, so that's always a really good thing. Perfume Dancer is not as important, so if you're going to hyper invoke Aeon and get rid of stuff, I would get rid of the 3 Leos because then I'm not going to be able to make a Liger. Okay, Lance is going first, and what I alluded to in the previous game is about to happen. Lance is going to go through a lot of steps. I have a lot of Lunalight names in hand. But I know that if that Oceanus hits the field, I'm screwed because all of them need to go to the graveyard. Like anything I'm going to be trying to do is going to involve the graveyard. But I have enough Lunalight effects that I'm like, if I draw Heavy Poly or Lunalight Fusion, I can at least make a Liger, and that's going to make the game more difficult, and I will be in the game. So we had this conversation, right? Again, like I say, it's just a game and helping each other out and talking about our decks and like trying to optimize. I was like, I was very clear with him. I was like, if you make that whale and I can't use my graveyard, it's going to make the game either extremely difficult for me or it's going to completely shut me off. And it's really just going to depend on luck of the draw and what I have in hand. And if you can put your opponent on, I mean, is that the point of floodgates? Is you basically turn your opponent off from being able to play the game. There's that stupid whale. You either turn your opponent off from playing the game or you make it extremely difficult for them to play the game. So I'm sitting there, Leo standing and watching, and I look at Leo and I go, GG's, man. I was like, this is the only way. I'm looking at my hand. You see a Fractal, Leo, Kaleido Chick, I think a Scarlet Tiger, even the Lunalight Perfume requires me to, summon from grave, and then I have to banish it from grave. And I don't know. I think I was like, is Oceanus just monsters? But like, it's not going to do anything. And so that's me talking. And I'm like, you know what? The only way I'm getting out of this, which I was pretty proud of myself for knowing my deck well enough to know my only way out. A little props to me. The only way I'm getting out of this is if I draw a Heavy Poly or a Lunalight Fusion, which are your going second fusions, because I have enough cards in hand, and those are going to let me use my extra deck so I can get the Leo Dancer out. So here I am. I'm working my magic. I'm touching the card. I'm going, please be a Heavy Poly or a Lunalight or Lunalight Fusion. Please be a Heavy Poly. Leo looks at it. Guess what I drew? Heavy Polymerization. Y'all, that was, sometimes Yu-Gi-Oh is crazy. I felt like bad, but I also did it because I was like, dude, you really, like, you set up a board that should have been extremely difficult. If this Heavy Poly goes through, it goes through. It goes through. So we make a Liger Dancer. I'm reading it, I'm explaining it, and I was like, oh, I get I didn't side this whole locals, by the way. So this is just, I am maining some heavy polys. Shout out to the deck list that I see online. Yeah, so then we're just going to attack into it. And now I can start comboing. Main 2, Fractal, Sun Silverhound. That was a crazy draw. And I think that's the other thing too, of like when you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Of sometimes there's frustration because like sometimes the draw is just crazy. Sometimes you brick, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you have the answer, sometimes you don't. And I think that's also what makes the game fun and exciting is that like there's just so much. I am trying to book it so we don't run out of time. But your girl does have to read. I mean, at this point, having the liger dancer is fine. Perfume, I'm going to go ahead and resummon the Black Sheep. I think Leo was checking. He's like, you didn't do all this stuff any of this while the Oceanus was out. And I was like, no. Oh, that's why I can't clear it. Oh my gosh. See, talking, verbal processing. Liger Dancer has to send to grave in order to clear the board. So you can't clear the Oceanuses. You cannot. Okay, so that's another way that any type of shutting off the graveyard shuts off Lunalight, because I'm pretty sure let me look up Liger Dancer. I'm almost positive she says that you have to send the card to grave, and if any card sent to grave is banished instead, you can't pay cost, and you have to pay cost exactly as it is, and I'm pretty sure it's cost. I'm Googling. My internet's being slow. I'm Googling. Once per turn quick effect, you can send one Lunalight monster from your extract to the graveyard. Cost. You have to pay cost exactly as it is. Has to hit the graveyard. That's why I'm like, why didn't I clear the Oceanus? It's not that they're protected. It's that with Oceanus, you literally can't clear them because anything sent to grave is banished instead. Oh, that card is so good. Oceanus is Invoked is so scary. So the issue that everyone who plays against Lunalight has to face is, how do I out the Liger Dancer? That heavy poly was crazy. So at this point, can definitely attack over the SB, but the Hyper Invoked Aeon, I am going to the SB is going to get banished, and then on battle phase or on declaration of attack, I will, clear it. The Book of Eclipse that he had gets thrown to the side.
Okay, this locals ends late. I'm starving. I got fourth. I think I got fourth. I had a double loss, and then 2 wins. And had I remembered the Perfume Dancer trigger in that first match, that it would have changed too. I got mashed up again, so then who knows? But yeah, really like Lunalight. Managed to make a Liger Dancer almost every turn, which was crazy. So it was good.